Bishar. Of course, we're having an amazing time talking to thespians and, of course, creatives, musicians, artists. I don't know if there's an umbrella word for all of it, but it's just amazing people and talented people all around. And we're discussing the state of theatre in Kenya and where they began, the beginnings, because so much has changed. And we've talked about their first coins that they made from their artwork. But now they're at the point where, of course, we're getting to a place where art can be a viable career. And then they're working with people that they also respect and that they look up to. I'm talking about Sitawa Namwali. I'm talking about Mufasa the poet. And of course, Otivo, Stingo, Thao. They're putting on an amazing show that we'll talk about in just a minute. But before that, how did you guys get together? How do you put together this collective? Because with creatives, it can be a little bit tricky. Do you work based on vibes, based on reputations, based on I've worked with you before and you were recommended, or I saw you on stage and I loved it and I DM'd you? How do these kinds of things these collectives, I would call them, come together? Let me start with Sitawa. And how did this particular collective come together?
Okay, so I wrote the show.
Yes.
And then looked around for a cast. And I had actually worked with Mufasa before. I had written a play in 2017 called Room of Lost Names, and he had played a god, and he's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal actor, and so I really enjoy working with him, and I've also watched him develop as a poet.
Yes.
And then last year I met Stingo. I was working with some young women with a Power 254, and we had a show. And he came through as a musician, and in a very, very short period of time, he did an incredible job. And so when I was looking, when I started this year to decide, I decided I'm going to have this show. He wasn't automatically came to mind. And then we also have Mudamba. Mudamba, interestingly, what is not very well known is that I started out with him. So when I started writing, when you write, how does anybody know that you're a poet? Because I was working in development, and my background is in environment and biology, right? And so I took some work to him because he was having shows, and he loved them, the poems, and used them. And it was really exciting for me as a beginner,
to see your work validated.
Exactly, to see my work validated. And so he was making a comeback into theatre because he'd gone into film. And so he came back, and I was actually supposed to start this last year, and he loved the work so much when he saw the script. And when I had my existential crisis last year, he wouldn't let me go. He wouldn't let the work go, and he kept calling me every so often. He'd be like, "We've got to put this on stage. We've got to." So in the end, I said, "Okay, let's do this.
Let's do it."
And then there's a young woman called Shiko Gisheru, and she as well. I'd worked with her with Stingo when we did the Power show. She'd written. And she's very young. She's still in university, doing her first degree, and there's just a vibe that we had in common, and we said we've got to work together. And she invited me last year in December to do a show with her, which I did, and it was so amazing. So when I started this, I said, you've got to come.
You've got to be a part
Absolutely.
of this. I love that there's someone in your life who's like, when you're trying to, not make your dreams come true, they're just like, Mudamba is like, no, we're doing this, right?
Absolutely.
I want to know who that person is for Mufasa and who that person is for Otivo as well, because I know the industry can be hard. There are times when you're like, it's not a must, by the way. I need to chill. Is there a person or a thing that kind of reels you back into the art?
That's a hard question. In Nairobi uko peke yako.
Oh no.
But I guess for me, what inspires me more is the quality of work. So for example, working with Sitawa is amazing. Her dialogue, the way she writes her dialogue, it's like the classical movies, the way people used to talk in classical movies.
Yes.
Her boldness in what she writes about. So when I see that, immediately you want to go on stage. You're just like, okay, I'm game.
Yeah,
I'm game.
The art is that thing for you. It's pulling you back, yeah?
Quality art.
Quality art. You're like, emphasis on quality because it's not just everything. What about you, Otivo?
For the early part of my life,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just keep on talking about my dad and my mom
Mm-hmm.
because they used to insist you have to go to a school that has music in the curriculum. You have to music. But in this current space that I am right now, working with Zitawa is really easy because as a musician, you just glean off the work. You just have to sit there, see what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
get the emotion, then translate
Translate
that and
it.
give it a melody.
Yeah.
So
And I'll say big props to your parents because I can assure you not many parents are actively saying you have to go to a school with me. It's probably the other way around. You know, it's where's the STEM career that you're looking for.
Yes.
So big props to